Hi everybody. So I'm here with Bert Harding. It is his birthday, so it's a special occasion.
St. Valentine's Day.
And St. Valentine's Day. Love Day. My name is Candace Pierce and good friend of Bert's. And I'm here to ask him about the new book that he has just written, and it is on the 4 unknown facts
Of reality.
of reality. And I was wondering if you could expand on what those facts are and how
it all came about.
it all
right?
came about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And incidentally, she came on my birthday today and made me a smoothie, and that's her expertise. But you'll probably hear more about that later. Okay, the 4 facts, they came about when Deborah, whom I hadn't seen for about 22 years, she came to see me for 2 weeks. And then when she was ready to leave, or actually we did some videos on love. And one of the videos, number 4 as I recall, I asked myself, I'm very spontaneous, I don't plan any of the talks, I just talk. And this particular one, I said, you probably would ask, Bert, what have you learned in the years that you've been doing spiritual service? And then I found myself saying, I haven't learned anything except that I've learned to trust who I am.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that actually triggered quite a few people asking me questions about what I meant, how did trust develop, and etc. Came about anyway. But I didn't answer those questions because it was time for you and I to drive Deborah to the airport, and then I wanted to keep my head clear so that when I write, I'm more elaborate. When I went home, I had a good sleep, but at 3 o'clock in the morning, it became so clear, the answer, that I went over to the board that Deborah left me on the wall, and I start scribbling on it, and I'm still in the day, my eyes half closed. And I wrote down the 4 facts of reality. And then I was stunned at their beauty, and then I went back to bed, and it stayed with me for a long time. So then I thought to myself, I have to write this book. And I wrote the book in about a week and a half, 136 pages.
Wow.
And it was all done by my guide or whatever, but it got written through me. There was no planning, there was no outlining or anything. That's not something I recommend in writing, but that's how it happened. Now what I'd like to do is to make it all very brief how these 4 facts work. The major theme, incidentally, the 4 facts are really one fact. And that one fact is the outstanding premise that life is very, very simple, very lucid, very clear. And it is what we call unconditional love, what we call infinite intelligence. And it's only one thing, really, just love. But the thing is, and the way I received it, is not to call it love. Because the moment you put a label on a subject, you limit it. Mm-hmm. And the reason is very simple why that happens is because the moment you put a label and you say, oh, it's love, oh, I am spirit, or whatever you use a concept, that concept creates a self-image. The self-image goes into your subconscious mind, and before you know it, every time you think about that word, that feeling, that thing comes back. And if you think you know that subject because of that image, then you have limited it. And you cannot go any further.
Because that's when the ego steps in and starts planning or starts getting ideas of what love is. So love is happiness, bliss, joy, and then anything outside of that becomes not love.
That's right.
Everything opposite than love, and
Yes,
yeah,
beautiful.
I can see how that could be limiting.
Beautiful, right.
Yeah.
So therefore, the thing that came through me during the writing of it is to call it emptiness.
Mm.
And of course, it's emptiness of ego. But the thing about emptiness is this, and listen very closely here, okay? Emptiness is a word that is the most frightening word there is. But more than that, many people are asking, Bert, why am I anxious? Bert, why do I suffer loneliness? Bert, why do I feel lost? Why do I have this? Why do I have that? All negativity and all emotional suffering is because of emptiness.
Mm-hmm.
Negative emptiness, unconscious emptiness.
Mm-hmm.
And then if we go into what is love then, because you cannot give it a definition, because the moment you call it love, even if you call it unconscious, unconditional love, which is love without conditions,
Mm-hmm.
you see, which is empty,
Mm-hmm.
yet even that would be misunderstood, because love itself is emptiness
Mm-hmm.
also.
And that's how the book came through you.
And
because
that's,
we're in a space of emptiness.
that's right, that's
of
right.
pure emptiness.
Emptiness. And that emptiness is light.
Mm-hmm.
And light teaches everything. That's all knowledge comes from that emptiness. And it became so clear. So this is it. So the 4 facts are divided into conscious and unconscious emptiness. So the first one is emptiness, which is of course the highest love that you can have, which has no definition. I call it infinite intelligence. Some people call it God. It is all that there is nothing else but that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? And I remember very clearly that when I experienced light, I mean, the first feeling was, I'm home. And it's as if I knew nothing else but that, even though it lasted only a few seconds. But there's no time, you see, there's no time and space in the light when you're outside the body. And that's when I experienced in the hospital outside the body. And then when I saw Sylvia, sitting next to the gurney where I was, and I said to myself, because, see, you still have thought, you still have feelings, you still have everything, but it's more alive.
Mm-hmm.
You hear, you see, you feel much, much more than you've ever done in your human form. And then when I saw her, I said, wow, if I stay here, which I feel so at home, and I don't go back to the body, then Sylvia is going to be all alone, and she hasn't got any friends in Canada. She was fresh here, and anyway, she'd be all alone. So anyway, and the moment I had that thought, I went back into the body. Okay, so now let's get back to the 4 facts. So the first fact is, the emptiness is your true home. It is who you are, it is what it's all about, it is the grandest and the only thing need to learn, which we know as love, but love, what is not love? Really? It's your home, it's your heritage, it's who you are. It's just like watching the sun and it throws its beams. Mm-hmm. And all the beams are human beings from that one sun. Mm-hmm. So actually, we are all one in that one.
May I ask a question?
Yeah.
So, if we are witnessing the sun and we're in that space of emptiness and witnessing and trusting, is that the same way we are to look at life in general as, as a witness instead of
Yes.
judging? It's kind of just being in that trust that, the sun is going to rise, or, the events in life are going to happen.
Yeah.
And kind of letting go of that control.
That's right. That's beautiful. Yeah, you see, because emptiness is... let me explain this, because the one thing that touches me most is when when a woman, a pregnant lady, is giving birth. To me, that is the most miraculous, most beautiful experience of all. I don't. So picture this. A mother is going to give birth to her child. And at that moment, she's in excruciating pain. She's giving birth. I mean, it's not comfortable. It's not physically comfortable. But she doesn't really mind, because soon she will give birth to her delivery, to her child. The moment she holds her child in her arms, at that moment she's empty. And empty of what? Empty of ego, because at that moment all that there is the child.
Mm-hmm.
Another example, despite her suffering, which was unconscious emptiness, became conscious emptiness when she had the child.
Mm-hmm.
Another way of doing it is when falling in love. You know, when you're in love, you're empty, because all you can think of is the lover. You're not thinking about yourself. Will she leave me? Will she say this? Will she do this?
The same with pets.
The same with pets.
Cats
the same
and
with
dogs
everything.
and
Yeah.
animals.
Yeah. So total unconditional love at that moment is empty.
Mm-hmm.
Emptiness itself is the best word, because it has no definition. It has no way in which you can understand it to be defined, in other words.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, another example is of emptiness is you listen to music,
Mm-hmm.
and it's your favorite piece, and it moves you so much that you want to get up and dance. And at the moment you're not thinking, I wonder when it's going to end.
Mm-hmm.
There's no, you're empty.
Yes.
You're one with the music.
Yes.
That's emptiness.
Yes.
That is love. That is the secret of life. That is the secret of spirituality, and that is what it's all about. Now, there is another thing to understand, and this is most important. As a hypnotherapist, I never knew this, actually. And now it's so clear. And don't take my word for it, do your own research, do your own experimentation. The only emotional suffering in the world, and the only suffering is emotional, is emptiness, fear of emptiness. It doesn't matter what you call it, anger, abandonment, depression, rage, it doesn't matter. It's all fear of emptiness. Mm-hmm. The very thing love is made from. Mm-hmm. Okay? So therefore, when you're suffering, what do you do when you're suffering? You want to suppress those symptoms of mm-hmm. depression. Mm-hmm. And so we take drugs, mm-hmm. we
want to do something.
We want to do
something. We want to act. We want to be in motion. We feel like we're not doing enough.
That's right.
So
we feel we're not doing enough.
Fix it.
Yeah, we want to fix it.
Yes.
Right. And this is what I've learned. Don't do a damn thing. But be with the experience, because the very emptiness you're trying to get rid of is the very emptiness that is your true home. Mm-hmm. You see? So you might want, maybe we could go to some examples how that works. If let's say you're depressed, okay? You're depressed because you're feeling life is not fulfilling you. You feel missing something. You lack something. It's empty, empty, empty.
Mm-hmm. Maybe you don't have a good job.
Yeah, that's right. You don't know who you are. Yeah. You don't know where you're going. You don't know what it's all about. Mm-hmm. You don't know what you really want. Mm-hmm. So all these are emptiness, feelings of emptiness. But that feeling of emptiness itself, if allowed, if fully experienced as it is, no matter how excruciating it is, because it can be, mm-hmm. okay? And you stay with it for a moment, you'll find that you might not get an exchange right away. I mean, you don't feel love instead of fear. It doesn't come that fast. But the moment you allow yourself to experience it, after a few hours, you begin to feel better.
Right.
And the energy feels better, because what is actually happening is that you are transforming the very unconscious emptiness into conscious emptiness.
And would you say that's acceptance?
Total acceptance, allowing, surrender. Yes, yes.
Yeah.
Total acceptance, that's beautiful. So, so the four facts are, first is emptiness. Emptiness of ego. Oh, okay. In other words, your spirit, your home is the light, unconditional love, infinite intelligence. It's all that there is. All these labels are simply ways in which this is what life is all about. Our true home, our heritage, what we've been here to experience in order for us to gain the wisdom to live in our true home. Because we are here to experience what it would be like to be without our true home. Strange as it may seem, but this is where we learn in being in the human form. And learn to experience everything as it actually is. And the moment we do, we begin to see that what causes all this suffering, all emotional suffering in the world. And I was a hypnotherapist for 30 years, and I've had hundreds and hundreds of clients. And one thing that now it all comes back to me, they're all suffering from one thing, fear of emptiness. My goodness, how simple it is. So now all you need to do is get in touch with that emptiness, which is really emptiness of ego. There's something that scares the ego, and that is being empty, you know. But the emptiness is not a feeling of loneliness, it's not a feeling of something missing. It is a feeling of being, that is conscious emptiness. So the second one, the greatest fear of mankind is fear of emptiness. The third one is that emptiness itself, which we fear the most, when it is conscious, it is love itself. And the fourth is trust. So those are the four. Now, trust is something that happens when you begin to see that this is all that there is. Love or infinity, or the eternal nature of light, unconditional love, is all one thing, and it's all who you are. When you learn to trust that, it doesn't matter learning anything about the world, anything else. This is, if you know that, you have the real secret of true success in life, true fulfillment. Now trust. Trust is conscious and unconscious also. Unconscious trust is when you live life and take everything for granted. You get up in the morning, you take it for granted. You go to work, take it for granted. You eat food and you just put food in your mouth and you don't see the beauty or the grandeur of that. You just take everything for granted. So by taking things for granted, you have no growth of appreciation. You don't have growth of gratitude of what you are. Now, the moment you become conscious of trust, not unconscious, but unconscious of trust, you begin to see how actually everything is a miracle.
You recognize the gifts.
The gift is in every moment. Like, for example, you're expert on food. Now, my goodness, you know, when you taste a pear or a delicious apple, which is my favorite, or a banana, and you see the beauty and the juiciness of them, you don't take it for granted. Because you see, if you are not aware of what it is that you're experiencing, it becomes a dead experience. The moment it becomes dead, you want something to give you taste. So you turn to sugar, you turn to garbage food, you see, as a replacement. And this is where we fail. So trust has to be conscious. That I am alive every moment, my heart is beating, I am being breathed, I am put food in my mouth and it's being digested, assimilated, eliminated, you know.
All these acts that go on within you that you're not in control of.
You're not in control, you're not doing anything.
It's a gift.
It's a gift.
You're trusting that your body is going to assimilate the nutrients and excrete what's not needed.
Yes, and you become aware of all that.
Yeah.
And you're filled with gratitude. And the moment you're filled with gratitude, your life becomes even more plentiful in every possible way.
Yeah.
In every way, you become much better. So these are the 4 facts, you know. First there is emptiness, then the greatest fear and all suffering comes from feeling empty without understanding what emptiness really is. So you think there's something lacking, something is wrong, I don't know what I want, I don't know where I'm going, what is wrong with me, I'm missing something, and no. That's where all suffering comes from. Number 3, love. Emptiness is love, love is emptiness itself, because it is not a thing, it's not objectified. It is really spirit, it is indefinable. And the moment you understand that, we go to the 4th one, which is trust, and you trust the whole thing. So actually, all growth is a growth in trusting that which you are. You see, and that's the highest success, and that is the beauty of life.
Trusting that which you
Yeah.
are, which is pure emptiness.
Yeah, and I hope that this was clear to understand. Are there any questions?
Well, we talked a lot about the first 2 and trust. Do you want to expand a little bit on love? I know that love is everything we talked about, but...
You know, this is the one thing I ask myself too, what is love? And I'm still asking it because I don't know. Because everything is love. I look at you and I speak to you, it's love.
Yeah.
You know, everything is love. I mean, you made me that meal right now for it's my birthday today, so she made me at my lunch. And it was so delicious, so beautiful, so tasty.
And would it have been that tasty though if you weren't in that space of gratitude? And you know, it's easy to shovel in something that's sweet, but you know, taking the time to sit with it and reflect on, you know, what's in it, where it came from.
And it's not a matter of reflecting or making it into an intellectual thing.
Right.
It is the beauty itself, the wonder of it itself. It's so beautiful, like sitting here in front of this, and you made me a pudding, which is really a smoothie, all the goods.
Yeah.
And not only it tasted good, but eating it was so embellishing, so fulfilling. Okay, so this is how life becomes rich. It's not something you're going to gain, it is something you recognize, it is something you discover. It is not a learning process of information, it is, again, it's a discovery.
Beautiful, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.